still rocking it, man. You still got it.
Thanks.
Nothing changed. Nothing
Where
has
did
changed.
it go?
Nothing has changed since 1986, my friend.
Do you guys know what it is? I don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
Well, I'll tell you what it is.
Thank you. What is it?
Well, what it is
you look like Crispin Glover.
Oh my God. So many people have told me that, except I have less hair now. And when I had more hair, everyone always told me I looked like Crispin Glover all the time.
Maybe if you just talked like this and was like, this is great, guys. It's wonderful to be here.
I used to do the dance from Friday the 13th Part 4 as a party favor.
Dude, you got to do that for everybody right now. You can't tease us like that. Come on, we want to see it. Do it.
Someone needs to play the music, though. Who can play the music?
Wait, there was no music. Oh, it was just
Lion.
It was like rock and roll, whatever, right? Put on any rock music, it'll work. Wait, isn't Jason Kidd, Ari, whatever his band's?
Ari
right?
Lehman.
Get him up here with a guitar real quick.
Yeah, he could probably play. Someone get me a beer, too.
No, come on, here. I'll just give you a beat. Come on.
Okay, someone go downstairs and get me a beer, and I will do the dance.
Come on.
I promise
you. Can do it. Don't let everybody down.
I can't dance without...
You can do it.
I can't dance without the music.
I'm going to give you a beat.
All right, fine.
Muhammad Ali did this to me once in a hallway. Muhammad Ali, he said, I heard you can dance. And we were with this guy. He was this magician guy who was a friend of his. He said, yeah, he danced just like Michael. He danced just like Michael. And Muhammad Ali said, come on, do a little dance. And I was like, there's no music. We're standing in a hallway in the middle of a hotel. And he goes like this. Billie Jean. Billie Jean. And you know what I did? I danced because it was Muhammad Ali, damn it. So Muhammad Ali says dance, you dance. So I danced like a monkey.
That's the scene right there, right?
There you go. All right, he's got the music. Here we go. Yeah! Yeah! That's awesome! That is so awesome! I love it, man. Well done, well done. Now, he just won Best Q&A Host ever. That takes a cake. Round of applause.
You can accomplish a lot in life just by showing the fuck up. It's amazing.
That's right.
I love it.
Dude, that was awesome.
It was okay.
I mean, you studied hard to get that right. That kind of spasmodic behavior does not happen easily.
Yeah, but it comes naturally to certain people.
Right,
yeah, like Crispin, like Corey. Anyway. Hey, everyone is like obsessed with all these movies, like The Goonies and Friday the 13th and The Lost Boys. And I gotta say that obviously, Stranger Things probably had a lot to do with that, with getting it into the psyche of everybody, the zeitgeist that the 80s were so awesome. But what was it actually like, man? Like you were kind of a part of it a little bit.
I think we had a lot to do with Stranger Things becoming a thing. Mm-hmm. Just saying. But yeah, what was it like to be a part of it? Well, the way I look at it is I'm just blessed to be in work that people remember. When you do these movies, you're just working. It's just a job. We all just do a job, So you do a job, and obviously, like when you're working for Steven Spielberg, you know that it's going to be a big movie, and people are going to remember it. But outside of that, it's kind of a crapshoot. Like Stand By Me was a little tiny movie, and nobody knew what it was gonna do. We thought it might, be out for a week or two in a few theaters because it only came out in 3 theaters in the beginning, and then we had to see how that did. And every single showing was sold out for weeks, and then it was like, okay, I guess we're gonna put it in more theaters. But you never know. You never know. Dream a Little Dream was a little movie, and we thought that was gonna be a huge hit. But the promotion and marketing team that did it completely sacked it. Like they screwed up bad. They marketed it with a poster that looked like it was a page out of a teen magazine. And the movie is a high art concept film with, brilliant Academy Award winning actors. And then let's make it look like a teen movie. So a bunch of teenagers went out to see it. No adults went. And the kids were all confused. They liked staring at the two Coreys, guys like staring at Meredith Salinger's breasts. But outside of that, there wasn't really a lot that they understood from it. So the adults would come in and they'd take the kids once in a while and they go, "That's really a good movie. I like it," But the kids really didn't get it. So it wasn't a hit. And then it hit cable, and then everybody saw that it was actually a brilliant film. And, the older they got, those kids started appreciating it, and then they showed it to their kids, and their kids are blah, blah, blah. Now it's a cult hit. And by the way, everybody that was in that film, Meredith was brilliant, Corey was brilliant.
Speaking of brilliant films, Friday the 13th, the final chapter. I mean, come on, that's pretty brilliant, right?
Crispin Glover.
And Joseph Zito was kind of an innovative director, was he not?
Great director.
Yeah.
I loved Joseph. We had a lot of fun times together on the set. We were always joking around, palling around. He was great to work with as a kid. They did trick me on that one scene, which gave me nightmares for a long time. So I was a little bit upset about that. And I did get a fever from wearing the bald cap all day, which, nobody told me if you wear the bald cap all day, you're going to get a fever. So I had that bald cap on all day for a few days in a row, and I think on the second day it just became too much, and I got like 103 fever, and then they had to take it off for a while. But I put it back on, always a trooper.
Yeah, how'd you get along with Ted White, the Jason?
He was really a jerk to me, to be honest.
I set you up there.
Rest his soul. But he ended up being a much nicer guy later in life. But he was a stunt man. He was a very kind of crusty, raunchy, bitter stunt man. He wasn't used to being around kids. He wasn't used to being on the set every day. He was used to coming in for 2 days on a project and doing his stunts and then leaving, because stuntmen don't stick around long. They come in, they do their stunt, and they go. So for him, it was like, he wasn't used to being basically the lead actor in a movie where he had to be there all day, every day, and he had to put up with this kid, which is like all of it to him was like annoying, I think. He'd be all right with some of the older guys. But anyway, as, he got older, we became friendly, and then I saw him probably a couple months before he died. We did a convention together, and he looked great. And I was like, "Man, you look great. How old are you?" He was like, 91. I was like, "What?" Damn. All right. Did good.
Yeah, I did a Q&A with him at Texas Frightmare. God, I don't know when it was 10 years ago or something like that. And you got to shake his hand, and it's like, he just broke every one of my knuckles. But I got to ask you about the pervy scene, of course, right?
The what scene?
The pervy scene,
Purview?
The pervy scene when you're watching, stuff at night and your mom, comes in and gives you that weird look and everything like that. Obviously, you weren't looking at the pervy stuff when they shot it, but you must have been thinking something in your head, right?
Pervy stuff.
You have no idea what I'm talking about.
You're talking about a couple kissing or something like that? That's
It was a big deal in the 80s, dude. They're kissing.
No, these days, that would be nothing. But no, there was nothing. I wasn't. Yeah, no.
You were just thinking about Lego.
I was trying to imagine what a kid would think that. I don't know. I was 12 years old, and I was jumping around on a bed in a fake room on a set. You know what I mean? It's not like there was anything out the window. We were actually where the two houses were situated, you couldn't even see the other house from where that window would have been, and we were on a set anyway. But even if we were in the real window of the real house, in the real room, you wouldn't have seen it because it would have been on the other side of the, this big valley with all these trees in between. Yeah. So, anyway.
And part 5, you really didn't probably meet too much of anyone, right? It was shot in your backyard.
Well, except Dominic Brasha, but I don't think we want to talk about him.
Yeah, we probably don't. I would have asked you about Danny Steinman, but I'm sure that you never got to meet him, right?
I met him. Obviously, he directed me for a moment.
What was he like? Do you remember?
I don't. I remember meeting him years later. He came up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm Danny Steinman. I directed you, and you were a little kid." I was like, "Oh, cool."
Cool.
So, yeah.
Any questions
it
about
was really exciting.
Friday the 13th, the final chapter?
Thanks for being here, Corey, first of all.
You're welcome.
Corey, if you were able to come back for like another Friday the 13th installment and got to play Tommy Jarvis, but as an adult, where would you like to take the character in the story?
Well, I actually pitched that concept to the studios a while ago, but I never did a full pitch because I couldn't, because basically there was a point, I'll tell you guys an interesting story, there was a point where Barnard Hughes and Barnard Hughes was the original writer of the final chapter, but Barnard and I started working together on a treatment to take to the studios. And we had a really good concept. It was really strong, but unfortunately, we knew that there was this giant lawsuit going on between Sean Cunningham and and the studio and I think there was another party involved. I forget who the third party was.
Victor Miller, probably.
Victor Miller, right? That was it. So between the three parties, and unfortunately, the way that lawsuit, we all waited and waited and waited. I mean, it took like 10 years. And the way the lawsuit ended, unfortunately, was fortunate for the writer. He got his rights back, but unfortunate for the fans of the franchise, because his whole philosophy, as most of you probably know, is that he portrayed Jason as the victim, not as the killer. And therefore, he wouldn't want to make another movie with Jason as a killer because it goes against everything he believes in. And that's why he fought all these years to get the rights back so they would stop essentially prostituting his film. So that's what happened. But anyway, while we were still prostituting his film, I thought of a great idea to further prostitute it. Of course, solicit. We'll say solicit for the children in the audience, so they don't know what we're talking about. No, but really, the idea was that Tommy would come back as an adult, like they did for H2O, which I always thought was like a brilliant film. I love that. To me, it's the only real Halloween sequel after 1 and 2, but that's me. But anyway, so my feeling was that we did something like that, and we had whoever Jason was, but I wanted Joe to come back and direct it with Barnard Hughes writing it with me. But hey, unfortunately, the fandom is done because he got the rights back and he doesn't want Jason to be seen as a killer. Therefore, we must respect that and move on. We've got, Ghostface now.
I see a lot of those Terrifier costumes. That's what I keep seeing. Just a lot of those.
I don't even know what that is.
We're too...
Sorry. I've been on tour, guys. I haven't been amongst the living for quite a while.
Totally different type of film, though. You already mentioned it, Stand By Me. What we always think of as the relationship on screen between the characters, right? So what was it like, kind of behind the scenes, you and River Phoenix and Jerry O'Connell and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, we all became great friends, I mean, that's why, Jerry and I are still friends today.
Yeah.
We still do stuff. We still get together once in a while. Sean and I from the Goonies and Key and all of us were still friends. I think, Jameson Newlander from Lost Boys, we all stayed friends, all the kids.
And what about, how much were you like Teddy Duchamp?
Nothing like Teddy Duchamp. Other than the pain. The pain that Teddy felt was similar to what I felt as an abandoned and abused child. But not like the craziness.
Yeah, not quite a delinquent then.
No, definitely wasn't dodging any trains. Maybe I dodged a few of other things that were coming at me like a speeding bullet, but definitely not trains.
And is there any Stand By Me questions?
I'm curious about working with Keer Southerland because working with him there and Lost Boys and just the connection there, being from Canada and all, and what it's like to work with him like a couple times, and then you guys are both playing your music, so I'm just curious with the relationship.
Unfortunately, Kiefer and I aren't friends. Hate to say it, but yeah, we never really got close in those two movies. We were friendly to each other on both of the films. He was always a quiet person. But lately, very strange, since he started his music career, he's actually done stuff to spite me, which is odd. Yeah, like I've heard from these conventions that he actually has it put in his contract that he doesn't want me to be at the same conventions as him. Isn't that weird? Yeah. I have no idea why. I have no idea why somebody would do that. I've always been friendly with him, so I don't get it. But anyway, moving on. Thanks. Yeah, no, you wouldn't know. I don't talk about these things openly, but you asked, I have to be honest, so sorry.
And then Lost Boys, that was the beginning. That was the beginning of your friendship relationship with the other Corey, isn't it? What about the film itself, though? Are you?
Oh, Lost Boys was, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a lot of work. It was very hard.
Yeah.
But, I always enjoy playing Edgar. Edgar's a great character. We did 2 sequels, for those of you who don't know. The Tribe and The Thirst, which we shot The Tribe right in Canada, in Vancouver, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yes, indeed.
All
As
right.
well as the first season of The Two Coreys. Speaking of that guy.
And do we have any Lost Boys questions? Yep.
How'd you like working with Diane Weist and Jamie Gertz?
They were both lovely. I didn't really get to know, kind of like Kiefer, the kids didn't get to know the adults very well in these things, It was kind of like the kids hung out with the kids, and except for like the other Lost Boys, like Brooke and Alex and Billy, they were always very kind of friendly, and Brooke and Corey became very close friends, actually. He became kind of like a mentor to him. And Billy was always cool, and Alex was, a nice guy. They were all nice guys. There was none of them were rude or mean or anything like that. They were nice. They just weren't around much. And then with the ladies, it was, Diane was much older, and we didn't really talk to her much. It was like, somebody's mom coming into the room. We just didn't, we kind of would run the other direction. We're a bunch of kids, And Jamie, we all thought was beautiful, and we were all too young for her. So, she'd walk by and we'd drool, and we'd be like, "Go get her, Jason," but no, just joking.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Before you got the role in Lost Boys, were you a fan of comic books before that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was a superhero kid.
You're like, oh, okay, I know this stuff. Like, you didn't have to do any research for that role?
Well, not for that part of it. Right, yeah, I did plenty of research, but not that. Yeah. But no, I was dressing up as Batman and Superman and Spider-Man. I mean, Batman, I would say probably, I was a big fan of the TV show as a kid. Oh my God, I've been so blessed. I got to work with Adam West. I did a movie with Adam West, which was amazing to get to work with him, because I was so in love with that TV show. And then Burt Ward and I became friends, and I got to actually sit in the Batmobile with Burt Ward. Yeah. Yeah, the actual car from Bob. Isn't that cool? Yeah, I know. I loved it. And I got to meet Cesar Romero. I worked with Burgess Meredith. Met Catwoman lady. I forget her name right now. Huh?
I know exactly.
See, nobody. Julie, not that one. The other one. Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt.
Yes. No, not that one. There's 3. There's 3. It's not Eartha Kitt or which one? Mayweather. That's it. Lee Merriweather. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So, yeah, I've been lucky to meet all those heroes of mine,
And then, so Goonies, that kind of representative.
Oh, and I was on the set of the original Hulk TV show.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, when I was shooting Bad News Bears, they were shooting on the same lot.
Oh.
So I was on the set of that and on the set of the Star Wars Christmas special. That's right. I got to meet Peter Mayhew in his Wookiee outfit, and on the set of Batman Returns, the second one, right? Yeah. hmm I hung out with Michael Keaton in his Batman suit. Yeah. I never tell these stories.
Yeah, this is the first Corey Feldman Bat fan story I've ever heard. Actually, no idea.
Well, you're calling it, an icon something or other, like talking about nostalgia. So I don't really do this kind of stuff. So I just figured, well, might as well talk about the nostalgia.
Yeah.
I just don't want to talk about the painful stuff. That's not fun. Right.
Yeah. So sorry, I was going to say Goonies was sort of a
Never say die.
big step up.
Oh.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was sort of at the time a big step up, right? In the whole Hollywood. Can you describe that experience a little bit?
I mean, it didn't really feel like a big step up because I had already worked with Steven and Joe Dante, and it was kind of, it felt like the next inevitable thing because Steven had kind of already, he had told me about it years before, so it wasn't like I was like, oh, yay, I get to do Goonies. It was more like, when is this going to ever happen? Is it going to happen? More like that. And then when it finally happened, I was very excited, but it wasn't like, it didn't feel like a step up as much as a relief that it was finally happening because, I was one of the first people, I'm sure, to know about it. He told me very early on, he pulled me into his office at Amblin and said, hey, I've got this movie. It's going to be like Indiana Jones for kids. And what do you think? And I'm like, well, that sounds amazing. What do you mean, what do I think? Duh, And he was like, well, do you want to be in it? And I'm like, double duh, and yes. So I kind of thought all along I was going to be in it. But then there was a change in directors, and he decided to back down and become executive producer, even though he still directed half of it. But he didn't put his name on it as director, or second unit director. But anyway, so he... so he was like, yeah, I got to give it over to Richard Donner, so it's going to be his decision, which means you actually have to go in and read for the role again. And I'm like, what? Like, you offered me this 2 years ago, and you made me read for you after you offered it for me, and now I got to go read for another guy. Wow. But that's all right. I was very happy to do it. And apparently that's where I actually met Corey Haim for the first time. So a lot of people don't know that, but we met in the casting office at Amblin. I don't even know if we met. This is Corey's story, but he said that that he saw me come in, and he was there, and I said, well, what part were you reading for? And he said mouth, and I was like, oh, sorry. So, yeah, it happened both ways. We both took parts from each other. I was up for Lucas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I actually mixed up Gremlins and Goonies there, not going to lie. But anyway, since we're talking about Goonies, any Goonies-related questions? Oh, right over here, yeah.
What was it like to work with Sean Astin on the set of The Goonies?
Sean Astin and I became good friends very early on. We're still friends, He's a great guy. He works very hard. He's working very hard right now in SAG. Not just as an actor, but he works on the board and is part of the negotiating team trying to get us out of this nightmare of a strike that we're in. So, he's a great guy. I love Sean dearly. He's like a brother. They all, all of those guys, really. I love Jerry. I love, everybody from Goonies, Carrie and Key and Martha and Jeff and, Josh, everybody. We're literally like a big family. And we still write each other emails. We have like a big thread. All the Goonies and a few of the producers, and I think Chris Columbus, the writer, is on it. And, some of the assistant type people, but we're all on this big thread and we write to each other pretty consistently. Like if some big event happens in any of our lives, we kind of, hey, everybody, this is what's going on. Sometimes we invite each other to stuff, or Christmas, we all send each other Happy Christmas or what, so yeah, it's fun. And we're lucky to all still be alive, right? There's something to be said for that whole Goonies never say die thing. Mm-hmm. So far, so good.
There was a question.
You also worked with Jonathan Kwan.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Didn't you work with him?
Well, you mean Key?
Yeah, Key.
Oh. Yeah, I know. He is Key. That's who. Yes, as Key, right? Yeah. He went back to Key.
Yeah.
He was Jonathan, I think, for a while, but he didn't need to do that. He's succeeded quite well as a legendary actor, Ke Huy Quan, I think. Yeah. So anyway, very proud of Ke. Yes.
What were the expectations for the Goonies while you guys were making it? Like, did you think it was gonna
I don't think we had it. I don't think you go into movies, at least as actors, you don't go into movies with expectations. You go into movies to do your best. It's a job. You're going in to make the best piece of work you can, and you don't really think about what the results are going to be, because if you do, you can stand to be disappointed. Just like meeting your favorite celebrity or rock star or whatever, sometimes it's best not to, because we're not all nice. There's people out there that are jerks, and then you meet them and you're like, ooh, well, now I don't want to watch their movies anymore, or now I don't want to listen to their music anymore, or whatever. So one thing that MJ taught me was always be nice to your fans, because they're the reason you're here, right? It's their love that keeps you going. And even if you don't remember meeting them and that moment's a flashing second for you, they're going to remember that moment for the rest of their lives. So make it special. And that's what Michael taught me, and it's a good point. It's a good point for all celebrities, and they should all remember to treat their fans as such. Unfortunately, they don't. But
I think we have a bit of a shy audience, so you guys can ask
there's
any
a lady
questions
back
you want
there.
about any
Hold
movie you
on.
want.
There's a lady back there who had her arm up in the
To
blood.
ask, what was your favorite scene to shoot in Lost Boys?
What about the montage of getting ready to kill the vampires?
I can't really say there was a favorite scene to shoot. It was a chaotic situation. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. This lady back here.
Do you have any fond memories from the set of The Burbs?
Oh.
that we just watched that.
Well, look at that reaction you got. She got a winning question. I would say there was a lot of fun story. Here's the thing. I was going through a weird transition, right? Because I was I'd gone through my drug phase, and then I was kind of about to go into a worse drug phase, but I thought I was getting sober. So I was sober-ish for a while, and then I started going downhill towards the end of it, but I thought nobody noticed until, I had this whole talk intervention thing with Carrie and Joe, who came into my trailer. But overall, I should have been stoked, right? Working with all these legendary people. But unfortunately, I was so insecure because I was going through all this abuse my whole life and all this terrible stuff I'd endured, that by the time I got to The Burbs, I was spinning off the rails, and I was just so insecure and felt like I was nowhere near as good as all these people, and I didn't belong there, and how did I get there, and I wasn't funny enough, and I wasn't good enough, and I wasn't, and they kind of started treating me that way, it kind of I think when we believe that about ourselves, then other people start believing it, and that's the problem. That's why we have to believe in ourselves. That's why we have to be positive. That's why we have to visualize the future and the reality that we want to make for ourselves, because if we see ourselves in a negative light, then that's the way that people are going to reflect on us. And that's a very important thing for people to remember. That was the lesson that I learned from that experience. If anything, I learned that because, looking back on it, a lot of people say, hey, that was your best performance. You were so great in that movie. I loved you. You were my favorite part of the movie or whatever. And I always go God, I so under-delivered. I could have done so much more, and I could have been so much better, And I feel almost embarrassed, having the chance to work with people like Tom and Carrie and Rick Dukeman, who was so brilliant. I wish I would have showed up more. And I felt bad for Joe, too, because, and truthfully, looking back, now I forgive myself because I realize I was a victim, who was being abused. And so I had a lot of reasons to be the mess that I was. But that said, I feel like I let Joe down because he, took a chance right away hiring me again because we did so well on Gremlins together. And you know, in the end, it was a #1 movie and it was a success and all that. But he went through hell with me because he was probably super disappointed seeing this kid that he grew up, you know, having an affection for, now seeing him, you know, screwing up his life. So I think he probably felt really bad about that. And then we worked together again when I got sober. You know, years later, we did a movie called Splatter, which, by the way, is on Netflix right now for Halloween. So go check it out. Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it's pretty badass. It's actually a really dark comedy, very much like the style of the comedy of Gremlins and The Burbs, because it's directed by Joe Dante, written by Joe Dante, I'm pretty sure. Or, no, written by one of his writers. And produced by Roger Corman. So it's definitely a classic, and it was the first ever streaming Netflix series, the first one. So when they told me the concept of it, I was like, what? You want me to do what? And it was like, yeah, so here's the idea. It's going to be a short film that's going to be like a music video, and we want to use your music, and you live in this mansion, and you turn into a zombie. And I'm like, really? Is there going to be a dance in the middle of the street? I mean, what's it called? They're like, Splatter. I'm like, oh, you mean like Thriller? Is anybody else getting this? So I was like, I don't know, man. But then I read the script and I was like, okay, no, it's an actual script and it's funny and it's good. And yeah, so I did it, and it is really good. You have to check it out. And they do use some of my music, but we don't dance in the middle of the street.
Before we get to the questions, we should give you a chance to talk about the music, right? You're in the middle of a tour and everything.
That's true. That's true. Thank you. Sorry none of you get to see it. And good night. No. It's an American tour. I know, I suck. Why no Canada shows? Ever. Did you wait? Say it a little louder.
No Canada shows ever.
Okay, Okay, no, ever. You're right. I've never actually. I did one show in Canada my whole life. I've done 3 performances in Canada my whole life. One on Electric Circus. Anybody remember that? Yeah. And that was on Much Music. Remember Much Music? Yeah. All right, so that was back in the day. Well, kind of. Just like MTV is kind of. But. Okay, so there was that one. We performed at the Plaza in Vancouver for the 2 Coreys. We shot a free concert there. That was cool. And then what was the third one? I know there was a third. Oh yeah, I hosted the first ever rave in Vancouver. True story.
I did not know this.
Yeah, the first. My uncle promoted it. He actually created the first rave. It was like, he's like, there's gonna be this party and it's gonna be like, you know, electronic music only. And there's DJs and all these, you know, there's gonna be like crazy lighting and they're gonna have these weird drinks you can drink and they give you energy or something, I don't know, and you know. And he's explaining the concept of a rave to me and I'm like, interesting. So it's, let me get this right, it's a party and there's a band, there's no band, and there's a DJ, but they don't play songs anybody knows the words to. Interesting. What a concept. Okay. And then, boom, look what happened. I have no idea. But this was back in like 1990, I want to say. 91 maybe, but yeah. So anyway, it was crazy. It was a wild time. But yes, so I've never toured Canada, but ironic as it may be, I am actually talking to the promoter of this event about possibly creating something very special for next year. So hopefully, so wait, tell the promoter of this event what you guys want. No, I'm not doing the after party. No. I mean, next year. Do you guys want to see me come and tour in Canada next year? Are you all going to come to the show? All right, there you go. Well, for if he's listening, there you have it, Chris.
It's on record.
It's on record, Chris. Twice, Chris. All right.
Yeah, Chris. Okay, question is back in the red.
How was your experience working on Puppet Master versus Demonic.
Oh God.
You were with Charles Band. It was hilarious.
Nobody works with Charles Band. He's like the mythical creature, like a Mogwai or something. I don't think he really exists. I think it's literally no. I really do. I think it's like a front of a guy. I think it's like a cash cleaning system. Has anybody ever seen a video of him? Does he exist anywhere?
It's like William Shakespeare.
Yes,
right?
you have. You have? What does he look like?
He looks like a Michael Myers mask a little bit.
Oh wow. So maybe he is a Michael Myers mask a little bit. Anyway.
I don't know if anyone's ever asked you about that movie. But...
I'll tell you, it was the worst experience of my professional career. The worst experience of my professional career. That still holds true all these years later. Worse than Busted, and that's a terrible movie. It didn't have to be. Busted could have been a really good movie. And I don't think Puppet Master is a terrible movie. It's pretty bad, but it's not terrible because I did some funny stuff in it and they didn't cut everything. But it was done like on a shoestring budget in Bulgaria. And there was literally like my wife at the time had just had my child prematurely. And I wanted to back out of doing the movie, and they would not let me. And my child was in the NICU ward at the hospital and was 7 weeks premature, born in an emergency procedure. At that point, he was hooked up to all kinds of machines, down his throat, up his nose. I mean, he had tubes everywhere, and we didn't know if he was going to live or die. And I was only doing it to make sure that I had enough money to basically raise my child. And I was like, I would never do a movie like that. Those movies are awful. And then it was like, oh, you have this offer. And I'm like, man, I really need the money at that time. I was in bad shape. And so I was like, I'm doing it for him. But then he became, a preemie. And it was like dangerous. And so I was like faced with this choice. And the guy said, you can either do it or not do it. But if you don't do it, we're going to sue you. We're not going to let you out. And I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe you're even saying that. But they're like, but we'll take really good care of you, and don't worry. And if your wife needs us or she needs anything, I'm like, she's in the hospital. You want me to abandon my wife and my child in the hospital to come to your movie? And they're like, yeah, but we'll take care of her. If she needs anything, you can depend on us. We'll check in with her, da-da-da-da-da. We'll make sure you're good when you get to Bulgaria. You'll get your own cell phone. You'll have everything you need. Everything will be great. Because you have to have a totally different cell phone service there, at least at that time you did. Very third worldish, And so I go over there, and the second I land, they're like, oh, we don't have a cell phone for you. We don't have this for you. We don't have that for you. It was like none of the things that we agreed on. And I was supposed to have my own apartment. They had me in like the hotel. I mean, it was just like nothing that we agreed on. And I was really upset. But then this producer, his name was Bob Circus, I think. It should have been Bob Jerkus, but I think it was Bob Circus, I'm pretty sure. And he was, just the most evil man that I've ever seen in production. He was such a dick. Like, he just would sit there and scream and yell all day. I know a lot of producers who do that, but this guy was really, really rude and really awful. And it was terrible conditions. We were shooting in like a warehouse. It was like the middle of summer there. It was like 105 degrees. There was no air ventilation inside because you can't have air conditioning on if you're shooting. And they didn't have air conditioning anyway, so they were piping it in with these tubes, and they weren't working. So it was just, it felt like normal air temperature coming in. And with these giant lights on, it got so hot in there. It was miserable. And this guy yelling all the time, and nobody else spoke English. So you literally had two people besides the actors that spoke English, the director and this jerk who they flew there to run the movie. And just a terrible experience. So there you have it. But that said, Danielle Keaton, the girl who started it with me, was lovely. I still see her today. She's a beautiful girl. Oh, my God. If I wasn't married at the time, let me tell you. No.
Okay, so I do have some bad news.
It's time to go.
This is the last question, but it's going to be the best one. So
I got to go sign autographs and take pictures and stuff, guys.
I'm going to let Corey pick it because I know who.
That girl right there with the blonde.
What was your favorite part filming Stand By Me?
Favorite part filming Stand By Me?
The leeches. Come on.
Right?
I mean, I would probably say, you know, if you were picking a scene, maybe the trestle scene with, you know, being up on that bridge. But overall, it was the friendships. You know, we just had so much fun. I had a lot of fun on that movie because my mom wasn't there. Number one, and I didn't have really much adult supervision at all, which was awesome because I was okay. Maybe I got into some trouble, but I got into less trouble than one would think that a 12 or 13-year-old boy on his own would get into. I was 13, turning 14 on that movie. So I was, I had some fun, but not too bad. I kept it PG for sure.
You guys have been an amazing audience. Give yourselves a hand.
Thanks, guys. God bless.